Welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm Danny Sheriff, your host, certified fertility awareness practitioner, functional nutrition counselor, and founder of the HA Society, and of course, an HA recovery coach who has walked where you currently are walking. This is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. So let's dive in. But last thing, nothing on the show should be taken as medical advice, so please seek the advice of your physician. The HA Society is taking clients. Coach Ashley and I work one-on-one with HAers, as we call you, to help you figure out a plan and, of course, implement it and stay accountable. Whether you've worked with a health practitioner already and you just want to stay accountable and strategic with the plan that they've laid out for you, or you want to start from scratch looking at all the aspects of your recovery needs and to create a game plan to reach those needs, then we are definitely your girls. When you sign up to work one-on-one with one of us, we're going to go over your history, your biggest obstacles, ensure that we're taking into account your specific goals, and start making a plan to reach them. So those goals could be getting your period back, could be getting pregnant, could be getting back to exercise or sport, or simply working on your mindset around your body image and long-term recovery. We also can teach you the fertility awareness method. So if you want to learn that so that you have the skills you need to go out into the world on your own without fear of getting HA again, we have got your back. So our coaching packages are either weekly or bi-weekly and only a month at a time commitment. So you're not paying tons and tons of money for 5-6 months. It's month to month, which is awesome. Makes perfect sense for period recovery, right? So to learn about other women's experiences working with us and to apply for a coaching spot, plus ask any questions that you might have before getting started, just go to thehasociety.com/coaching. Good morning. I am talking to you guys today about genetic variants. Why is her recovery happening sooner? Why is she getting her period back sooner? Why did she not have to gain as much weight as me? Why can she get her period back and work out at the same time? All questions that I have heard, or just concerns, worries, and fears that I have heard many, many times over and over again. And so you've probably had that thought. You've probably been scrolling and seen someone recover and they've posted it as a selfie and they've been like, I got my period back. And you're looking at them and you're like, but she's so thin, or she's so much thinner than me. Or someone posting and saying, I got my period back and I never had to stop training. All of these things, they can be really challenging and damaging because it creates a woe me effect. But what we need to be looking at is the oh me effect. You are unique, right? So in many ways, you're not. I talk about unicorn syndrome. I talk about there's no special way that recovery is not going to work for you because you're special. No, but there certainly is genetic variance that says your recovery is going to look wildly different. So let's look at it this way. We are more than happy to acknowledge that everyone else has a different physiology. When we look at athletics, for example, we know that Olympians have a different physiology, right? Like a tennis player, they can process the speed of a ball coming at them significantly faster than someone who is an amateur or who has never played tennis. Random example. People are good at different things because of slightly different genetic variances. And we're happy to accept that. And we're also happy to accept that some of those people are born with that and some of those people can develop that. So I'm going to go down both of these rabbit holes for a bit. First of all, you are born with a genetic blueprint that determines certain things like whether or not you have slow twitch muscle fibers or fast twitch muscle fibers, meaning whether you are someone who could run for longer or someone who maybe wouldn't run for longer but has more explosive power in one fast movement, like a distance runner versus an Olympic weightlifter. That's a genetic variance that each of us have and are born with. Then there's the trained kind where if you do something from a young age forever, you're more adapted genetically to be that way. And we've all got something like that. And this includes our metabolism. If you ate a certain way, or had a certain relationship with food or with exercise, or had a certain routine, if you were a child athlete, if you were not. All of these things actually play a role in determining the makeup of your body today and who you are today. And so this makes sense that recovery would look different for you, and other people will have a more resilient menstrual cycle, a more resilient mindset, more resilient just body overall when it comes to illness or when it comes to stressful situations. This is just how it is. And so there's nothing you can do about how you grew up, and there's nothing you can do about how she grew up. But maybe that plays a role in why her period came back while she was doing exercise and why yours isn't. Your metabolism also comes into play here. So what if you have, based on your genetics, based on how you grew up and how your metabolism has been affected, and based on how your metabolism has been affected in the last 5 or 10 years based on how you've been chronically dieting or chronically exercising, right? The effect on your metabolism is different to hers based on how you got there in the first place. So how you get out of it is going to look different as well. This is obvious, right? When you think about it that way, when you can just take your mind out of like one-to-one comparison and remember just how differently your journey was up until this point, when you can take yourself out of that position, it's much easier to rationally think about why this doesn't mean anything bad about you or good or special about you. Okay, so if we take into account that everything about us is unique based on factors that we can't control, and comparing ourselves to others is just like a completely moot and of no value point, it doesn't work. I mean, you have, clients who might talk about like, yeah, but, my sister doesn't have this issue, or my mom doesn't have this issue, or I know so many other girls who are just so similar to me for XYZ, like they're also gymnasts or whatever, and they don't have this problem. And I have to bring it back to the only thing you have in common with that person is that she's your sister and you have similar DNA, but you don't have the same. The only thing you have in common with that person is that you run, or the only thing that you have in common with that person is that you also have the same condition like Hashimoto's or something. And that's all. That everything else is different, and you are narrowing in on the things about you that are similar. And that is moot. That is not enough evidence to say that you should have your period by now, or you should be able to do what she did. So if we understand that, we think about the hypothalamus as a boss, and we think about your body as a company. Like imagine it's a big skyscraper, and at the top right here, the boss sits in his window or her window that has a beautiful view of everything around it, right? So it's the best spot in the house, and she calls the shots. And everyone else's body is the same. Everyone else has a different skyscraper in the city, and they have a different boss at the top calling the shots. Now, with every company being different, not having any idea what any of the other companies are doing, that boss is making decisions about where to allocate resources, which is money, budgeting, right? And if you ever worked in a corporate environment, you'll understand this analogy perfectly. But they are sitting at their desk and they're thinking, okay, the next quarter, this is where we need to go. This is what needs to improve, and this is what needs to keep running smoothly. I'm going to allocate funds over here and funds over here and funds over here, and this is going to hopefully get us to our goal. And that boss knows more than you know about what needs work and what doesn't. So your boss, your hypothalamus, is allocating energy resources, or the resources it has from the energy that you're giving it, to different places that you have no say in. So you can't just say, I'm going to eat all these calories and can you please send that to my reproductive organs? It just doesn't work that way. It is sending resources to where it believes it needs to go. And for some people, it's saying we need to store excess body fat before we even start producing hormonal activity. Some people's body says we're ready to produce hormonal activity first and body fat later. Some people's are we're ready to have your hair stop falling out, we're ready to regulate your temperature, and some is let's do it all at once. Like the amount of resources you have and the decisions that your brain is making in order to allocate them somewhere is totally unique, and you're unconscious to it.
Did you know that 1 in 8 couples struggle with fertility? That's over 7 million people in the United States alone. And the risk of miscarriage it's more common than breast cancer or diabetes. The challenges of your fertility journey, we don't talk about them enough. We assume that when you're ready to have kids, it will be easy, but that just isn't the case for everyone. The journey can be expensive, mystifying, and full of disappointment and shame, but there is hope, and you are not alone. On the new podcast, Baby or Bust, host Dr. Laura Shaheen, an OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist, answers your questions, dispels the myths, and transforms disappointment into hope. Every episode of A Baby or Bust features interviews with experts and real-life infertility survivors to explore questions and answers like, should I put my hips up afterwards? Should I be eating pineapple to help with embryo implantation? Boxers or briefs? When do you know it's the right time to have a baby? Will plastics and toxins kill my eggs? What really causes a miscarriage? Hot tubs really kill sperm? And how do queer people have kids? Join Dr. Shaheen each week for practical approaches for your fertility journey. You are not alone, really. Find Baby or Bust on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you or anyone you know and love faces the realities of sickle cell, answers and support are available. Having the right information can be life-changing. Visit sicklecellspeaks.com today, and you'll discover a community made up of those who understand and live with sickle cell. Beyond inspirational stories, you will also find information about healthy lifestyle tips, helpful resources, best practices to prepare for doctor's visits, and more. The right information can change everything. Visit sicklecellspeaks.com today.
But that's what's happening. So I hope that analogy makes sense, right? That you're unique, your brain is making unique decisions based on what it believes you need. And I know it's painful sometimes to see people whose brains decided that hormonal activity could switch on before excess body fat storage, but you need to trust that that's what's best for you if that's the decision that your body needs to make, right? Body fat is your friend. It is an organ. It has an amazing nervous system inside of it. It's not just this like weird excess blob that's like on your body. That's not what it is. It's actually a living, breathing organ. It contributes to immune system. It contributes to hormone function. I'm talking about this one because it's like the number one thing most people are thinking about. And you just need to be grateful and thankful for what it's doing, which I know is hard. But if you think about it in this way, that your body is calling the shots based on the information it has and what it knows is best for you, when you can trust in that, it's gonna really help. So I hope this was helpful. It was just kind of like I thought of this concept this morning. I wanted to talk about it, so I haven't planned it very well. But I really, really hope that it helps you, because I know that comparison, it's not helping anyone through this time. And I encourage you to stop scrolling and stop listening to maybe the stories of others if you're really struggling too much with self-comparison, and start focusing in on yourself and coming to terms with yourself and your unique needs. And then go with that mindset, with that tool in your toolbox. Then you can go and watch and be motivated by other people's recovery. Okay, guys. Have a really great week. Please subscribe to this channel. Please go listen to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and come and check us out on Instagram at Danny Sheriff or the HA Podcast. See y'all next week.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much, because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women.
Have you heard? Amazon is now hiring for their new site opening soon in New Albany. Be one of the first to take advantage of launching a new career at one of the best workplaces in the world. Being a part of Amazon includes great benefits and competitive pay, plus many opportunities for advancement. So get a new job today and kickstart a new career tomorrow. Learn more about the perks of working at a new Amazon site. Go to amazon.com/start now. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Hi,
Hi, I've got a prescription for diabetes test strips. How much is the copay?
That could take me a while to calculate. In the meantime, you should think about over-the-counter Contour Next test strips. You get 35 for $19.99, and they're highly accurate. For full details, visit contournext.com/radio.